Chris Turney, Anton from Climatalist.
Great to meet you, Anton. Fabulous to be at such an important time.
Such an important week. Tell me why.
Yeah, well, we're just reaching that point now where you've got this amazing momentum politically, but technologically, public are behind it, getting action on climate change. And wow, could we not have a more important time? Carbon dioxide pollution is just through the roof. Heating is through the roof. We're feeling the impacts even in here, Sydney today. We need to actually turn this around.
So, Action Week, what action do you think will come as a result of the week?
Look, I think a big part of this is actually connecting people together. It's very easy to feel isolated and you work on your own little things that you're trying to do. But actually, when people come together, things scale, and they scale super quickly. So this week, I'm really looking forward to people making those connections and actually sharing knowledge and actually driving those bigger changes. A big part of this as well is the fact that actually we need to give our governments and businesses and our community the confidence that actually this needs to happen and we're behind them. And actions like Climate Week really help give them that confidence.
So a shining light, a big beacon in the sky.
Yeah,
man.
Absolutely.
All right. So UTS, very, very big on research, early stage innovation. One of the bits of feedback I've had from business that I've been talking to is some of the technology isn't ready. So that issue of scaling up technology, scaling up innovation to a point where business can actually take advantage to drive the transition. What's your view on that? Is Australia ready?
Look, I think there's a lot of technologies at different levels. There are some things which are super ready. There are other things that are for more earlier stage. I think one big thing that we've been pushing at University of Technology Sydney is this idea of actually working in partnership with industry. Universities used to have this sort of bad reputation that they find a solution, then go looking for a problem. The issues we have now, industry have challenges, we work with them, and it's not just UTS, it's all universities. We need to all be doing a far better job at working together and bringing these together so we can deploy them quickly at speed and scale.
Gotcha. Brilliant. And final question. So your podcast, brilliant title. How did you come up with it?
So it's called Unfucking the Future. And I wanted it to be something that would challenge people, but at the same time, positive. And so, yeah, we've been 12 episodes just sharing ideas with amazing leaders, entrepreneurs, innovators, politicians, and just seeing what people can do. I think for me as a climate scientist is I'm often asked, but what can I do? And I just felt there was a real gap there for actually sharing that. But you, Anton, you, Chris, you, Annette, you can do these things. And this is something you can do now, not waiting for the cavalry to turn up in 10, 20 years. I mean, it's great hearing about these new technologies, but what can you do now?
Today,
absolutely.
Okay. As a business, let's say I'm a business in the agriculture sector. What's one thing that you would recommend that I would look at?
Oh, look, I think the key thing is how do we actually reduce our environmental footprint? Huge advances being done in all sorts of different ways with agriculture. Lots of great technologies out there to support them to become more productive, cheaper agricultural production, but at the same time get those carbon emissions down. We're all in this together, so let's help each other as quickly as possible.
So why your passion for this? You've been doing it for years.
Look, my dad was a forester. He was pioneering a lot of the sustainability work back in the late 80s, early 90s, which was an inspiration. So we lived in nature in often quite remote places, at least British standards remote.
I've been to London, I know, yeah, the parks are beautiful.
But in the late 80s, there was this amazing buzz and energy. You know, we had a hurricane that hit us in South London. People died, and we had to get out of our house because trees were falling around us. It was all crazy. But it was this recognition that climate change was real. Margaret Thatcher gave these incredibly powerful speeches and talks. Yeah, I know. And this is something like as a poster child of a right wing, you know. And actually, she was actually recognizing this was real and we needed to do something about it. She's giving talks to the United Nations, Royal Society. We had these amazing reports. We had James Hansen testifying in front of the US Senate saying the greenhouse effect, climate change is real. Do something about it. It was this amazing momentum. And then you just had all this misinformation, obfuscation, everything just slowed down. And you just thought there was a moment in time, and we just can't let that pass again. Now there's this incredible moment in time. People are really behind it now. You very rarely meet people who say, oh, is it real? There's this sense that actually, let's just get on with it now.
So getting past the confusion and getting to the truth is going to be really important.
Yeah, and I think for me as well, for universities, I don't think we've done a great job. In fact, we haven't done a good job at actually getting all these technologies, sharing this knowledge with the community. We just haven't. And likewise, industry's been doing its own thing, government's been trying to do its own thing.
Bringing everyone together.
We've got to bring things together.
Solving the information asymmetry.
And we cannot hope by osmosis this will get out. We have to be a lot more proactive, work together, and also be kind together.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough. There's going to be mistakes made along the way, but if people's hearts are in the right place, we can drive really big change.
Kindness and pragmatism, right? Because
Yeah.
there's so much noise, so much you're doing it wrong, you're doing a bad job.
Yeah.
People are trying, but you're just hammering.
All the time. If we really keep judging each other, nothing's going to happen. We have to really try and make a leap of faith here. And there's just this really good will now that's out there to help support. And you just got to stop listening to the noise and then actually drive a change. And we know where we're heading. We might go off a little bit in directions, but we know the path of direction now. So let's just get on with it.
Yeah, let's get the signal out, which is what the week is all about.
Yeah, and it's super that so many amazing people are here sharing these ideas and getting things out there. And that's what this week's about, right? It's connecting and getting things going at scale. I mean, there's this wonderful idea this Erica Chenoweth and others at Harvard University brought together. And they looked at a whole load of sort of non-violent protests. And they looked over the last 100 years or so. And those protests that had the longest lasting impact were those where you had at least 3.5% of the population together completely committed.
Okay.
Not 80, 90%.
Critical mass.
3.5%. You need that critical mass. And in fact, that's not a lot. We can do that. We can do that.
That's interesting.